Is it mandatory for Major League Baseball players to support Pride? That's what you'd conclude from the backlash against a few San Francisco Giants players who objected to their team's Pride Night. I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and as part of their Pride Night, the Giants had a rainbow-colored logo on their caps. As far as I can tell, it included all the colors from the very latest rainbow flags, although it's hard to keep up. And you had some players who didn't like this. They wrote Bible verses on their caps, and one player who even, can you imagine it, just wore the traditional everyday San Francisco Giants hat, and they have been denounced. They've been rebuked by Major League Baseball. I want to talk about how wrong and authoritarian that is, and how it is that we have this movement that's supposed to be all about tolerance that's become so bullying and illiberal. So first of all, let's look at this Bible verse. It's from Genesis chapter 9, and God said, "This is the sign of the covenant I'm making between you and me and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I've set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, the rainbow appears in the clouds. I'll remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind." Those are very nice verses, obviously come at the end of the flood in Genesis, and a very different vision of what the rainbow means as opposed to the way it was used here on Pride Night in San Francisco. And there's been outrage. State Senator Scott Wiener, big progressive out there, said this. To be clear, these players could have cited the rainbow Bible verse on any of the other 364 days of the year. Instead, they chose to cite it only on Pride Night, and only in connection with the Rainbow Giants logo celebrating our LGBTQ community. There's only one explanation for that choice, a choice the Giants tolerated. It's hard to envision the Giants tolerating this kind of behavior directed at any other community. The Giants can and must do better. So first of all, as we've talked about a lot in these videos, there's no such thing as an LGBTQ plus community, right? They make it sound as though all these people are the same. They live in the same neighborhood. They go to the same community center and use the same pool, right? And the same ball fields. No, that's not how it works. It's not a community. But then there's the question of who's really the aggressor here. Is it the team or is it the players, right? The aggressor is the team. They're being made to wear the symbol of a movement they don't support. And this would be completely obvious if it were any other social or political movement. If the Giants decided, say, to have 2A night, a night celebrating the Second Amendment, and fashioned their logo into the shape of a gun and asked all players to wear it, and some of them aren't into the Second Amendment and support gun control and either refused and wore the traditional cap or wrote a little message on there, would we say those dissenting players were the aggressors, or they're actually pushing back on something that was being imposed on them, which is obviously the case here. But the idea is that they're not supposed to have any choice. Reminds me a little bit of the Bill Buckley line. The thing about liberals is they don't care what you do so long as it's mandatory. Also reminds me of this old episode from the TV show Seinfeld, where you have an enforced symbol that's the AIDS ribbon back in the day.
Okay, you're checked in.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
You don't want to wear an AIDS ribbon?
No.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
But everyone wears the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
What you are? You're a ribbon bully.
Hey, you, come back here. Come back here and put this on.
Then we have this notion that the Giants have to represent all of San Francisco by having a Pride Night. If they don't represent San Francisco. Well, they represent San Francisco by being the San Francisco Giants. That's how they represent everyone in San Francisco, even if they don't have nights for particular categories of people, right? They don't need to have a straight night or a married night or a beast night or a skinny night or an extroverted night or an introverted night. No, they're just the San Francisco Giants, and they represent the entirety of the city. Now, it'd be one thing if they had a Pride Night that didn't affect the uniforms. I still think that would be a bad idea, and they shouldn't do it. But it's the uniform that is the symbol that becomes a version of enforced speech. And we've heard all sorts of other arguments about why it's totally wrong for any dissent here, and everyone has to go along. You had this guy named Matt Dorsey, who's on the board of supervisors in San Francisco, saying, as a sports fan, it struck me as problematically undisciplined. He's talking about the dissenting players here. When you're a highly paid professional athlete, your uniform isn't a canvas for individual self-expression, especially about politics. It has been my observation over the years that championship caliber teams never tolerate distractions like this. First of all, it's the Giants who created this distraction by having players wear these caps in the first place. And you know what is not championship caliber play? Having a team that's playing .403 baseball. That's the Giants' winning percentage. They have the 7th worst offense in the league. So I don't think having players write Bible verses on their hats is going to affect the trajectory of their season one way or the other. And you know who also wrote this Bible verse on his cap in 2025 last year? Clayton Kershaw, the legendary pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you know who won the World Series last year in 2025? The Los Angeles Dodgers. More from Dorsey. Second, as a person of faith, I'll be the first to defend Bible verses and prayer as sources of inspiration and strength for many athletes. Great. I have no problem with that, but I'm bothered to see biblical cherry picking used to score political points on a single occasion. It's hard to argue this was anything other than that. Again, the occasion for this was created by the team. They forced the issue, not the players. Yeah, they're cherry picking the verse because they can't write the entirety of the Bible on their baseball cap, and it's not unusual for Christians to cherry pick verses that are particularly meaningful to them or to the faith, putting them at the end of their emails, putting them on signs, whatever. Tim Tebow cherry picked when he wrote John 3:16 on his eye black. And one final thing from Dorsey here, and this is the most insidious. Third, as a gay man, I'm disappointed that a universally recognized symbol of LGBTQ plus visibility and inclusion, still seen by some as controversial in 2026. Major cities with major league sports teams are inherently diverse, and if you're uncomfortable celebrating the wide array of heritage and pride nights for communities that make up the city on your uniform, maybe the major leagues aren't for you. So what's going on here? Well, I think there are a couple big things. One, obviously, gay and trans people are high up the list of the hierarchy of victims for the left. So pretty much what they say has to be considered gospel. And I use that last word advisedly because second, what's happened here is basically a counter morality or counter religion even has been created such that if you dissent from it, it's like being a dissenter in a medieval Christian society and saying you don't think Jesus Christ is the Lord. You are a heretic. You are a witch. You are a second-class citizen, such that we can consider expelling you from any profession. Baseball has nothing to do with any of this if you aren't on board. So proud of these guys who are willing to dissent on this, and anyone who is arguing they should be punished for it should be ashamed. Hey, by the way, comment, like, subscribe. I promise you won't regret it. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.